All right. We're seeing some people come in. Good morning, everybody. And good evening if you're from the UK. we're international here.
We are indeed.
Oh, hi everybody. Oh, we're seeing so many people come in. Hi, Adrian, Demiria, Judy, Catherine, Madison, Robin, Shanice. Hello. And feel free to tell us where you're from. I'm really curious where everybody's from in the chat. Feel free to drop in your location, where you're from. Oh, wait. Oh, wow. NYC.
Oh, wow. South Africa? What?
Wow. Hi.
That's what? Singapore?
Oh,
What's
wow.
going on?
We're really international today.
Scotland.
Hi. Oh, my God. Wisconsin. Cool. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wow.
Wow. Awesome. It's so great to see you. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We're gonna wait a few more minutes to get started to let everybody come in. But I'm Priscilla. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Planoly. Oh my God, sorry, Brazil. Wow, okay, nice. Welcome. So yeah, we've been doing these Planoly Present series for a few weeks now, obviously since quarantine started, to keep you entertained and really talk to, obviously like keep that connection going, even though we're socially distant. And today we're talking to one of our good friends, Chloe. If you've been following us for a long time now, you are probably very familiar with Chloe. About 2 years ago, I can't believe it's almost 2 years ago, we did the Chloe Digital World Tour with Chloe in LA, New York, and here in Texas in Dallas, which was a blast. So we spent like a good 2 weeks together. And yeah, no, Chloe comes to the States all the time, but she's a UK native. But I'll let you chime in a little bit more about yourself, Chloe.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's so cool to see that people from all around the world. That's so exciting. I don't know what time it is for you lot, but it's happy hour for me here in London. So you might see an additional of it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my name is Chloe Watts. I'm from London, born and raised, but my parents are from the Caribbean, St. Lucia and Jamaica, both very beautiful countries. And I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Chloe Digital, which is the premier tech support and digital strategy membership for influencers.
So Marlene is on the chat. She's part of our team. She's also been hosting a lot of these Planoly Presents. She put in Chloe's handle for IG and for Chloe Digital's IG. So make sure to follow if you don't already know about Chloe. Chloe is a superstar, like one of the women in tech who really made an impact in the world of digital, in the world of influencers, and one of the go-tos for a lot of, even from a lot of the bloggers here in the States. But aside from that, she's been able to quickly pivot to an opportunity that you guys might have heard of, your live guide, which is so brilliant given that there's tons of lives going on all the time. There's obviously lots of Zooms going on all the time. So your live guide is a destination for discovering your live social programming, obviously during this pandemic. So Chloe, can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for creating your live guide, and if and how the isolation you were feeling helped inspire you to foster a sense of community during time when we need it the most?
Sure. So my background's in tech. So I'm a self-taught coder from when I was 16 years old, and now I'm 31. I know I don't look it, but I'm 31.
No.
So I love anything digital. I love anything tech, and I'm always thinking of ideas and platforms that could be brought to life that I feel that is needed in my industry. And just before we kind of all went into lockdown, I was actually on a trip in Los Angeles at the time. It was a 7-week trip, and I was there promoting certain products that we were launching at my company, Chloe Digital. And I had to cut my trip short by 1 month because of the borders were starting to close, and I felt a sense that I needed to get back to London as quickly as I could. And luckily I did, because it was just, I think it was like 2 or 3 days before lockdown. And I pretty much haven't left my house ever since, which was like 2 months ago now. And during that time, I felt at first very scared, very anxious, very disheartened, very worried. Like I'm pretty much an empath. Like I really take on people's emotions, and I just felt very sad. But the thing is, when you run a company, you can't really spend time feeling sad, because not only do you need to present a good front to your team, but you also then need to strategize for your actual business for it to survive. But I realized very quickly that people were getting furloughed. So many different things were happening, and I had to kind of work out very, very quickly what my strategy was going to be, and that I could transcend onto my team, and how we could also help our community, because our clients are all influencers, and their job is to entertain and delight and educate their audience. So we need to find a way that we could keep them upbeat and make them feel good, so that they can then go on and do their job. So it was very important for me to kind of like shut out the news and everything like that in my house, so that I could get myself into a creative space, so that I could think very quickly on my feet about what we could be doing to kind of help people. So that first week I was having like crisis talks with my team every single day about what could we be doing. And it was very much like, forget about what it says in our terms and conditions, forget about what it says on our services page, forget what you're used to doing for the business, and just think, how can we help? Like, we have really amazing talent, and we can help people outside of the pool of we do every single day. So I was very much in, I don't know if you kind of, there's this like philosophy about like the idea and the creation process. And I was very much in the stage where I was just brainstorming constantly ideas. Like I'd go to sleep thinking about ideas, and I'd wake up thinking about ideas. And it was a way to kind of keep me sane through that first week, where it was extra terrifying. So because I was already in that mindset of creativity, when one of the days in that first week, I went onto Instagram and I saw that a lot of people were going live. So the top of my Instagram was like, I was scrolling and there was so many people live at the same time. Not only that, I'd wake up and check somebody's story and see that they had screenshot someone going live that I didn't even follow. And there was this one guy that went super viral, who was doing like club quarantine, this DJ, and he got like 1 million followers in 1 week. Like, it was mad. And he had he did a co-live with Naomi Campbell. And the only reason I found him is because I was following Naomi Campbell. So I thought, this is so crap. Like, there must be so many other people that I'm missing out on, that I would find entertaining and that would help me during this time. So I thought, okay, let me see if there's like a TV guide for lives. I can just search on Google, find a TV guide, because I often go on tvguide.co.uk to see what programs are coming on TV. So I thought there must be one for live programming. So I searched for it. I went to page 2, went to page 3, went to page 4, which nobody does on Google. You just, after page 1, you just give up. And I couldn't find anything. So that day, I think it was quite late at night at this time, I messaged one of my developers on Slack, and I was like, what do you think if we created a TV guide for lives? And he was like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. So the next day, coincidentally, I had a conference call with Digital Brand Architects, which is the leading agency for influencer talent. And it was with Risa, their EVP. And when we both got on the call, we were both just, everybody, like, you probably feel the same. Everyone had that face like, what is going on? What are we going to do? And in that call, I told her about this idea that I had to create a platform whereby people could find live programming to be inspired. And she loved it. And we decided that we were going to go in together and to create this platform. So this was, I think, now about 4 weeks ago. And from then we created a brand new business, a name, a trademark, an Instagram account, a brand new site, so much. And I thought I was busy before, but now it's just like insane.
No, and you've gotten so much traction. I mean, not to like name drop, but you did get Michelle Obama to like put her readings on your live guide, yes, which is insane. And it's just like,
now we've had Offset, We've had Post Malone, like it's been wild.
It's insane. And it's just like a no-brainer. And I think it's just, it proves that a lot of brilliant ideas can come out of something that is not self-serving, but obviously something that you needed because you went on Google and tried to find something that was you needed yourself. And if
Yeah.
it's not there, why not just make it, right?
Exactly. And even that was funny in itself, because my core business wasn't out of a need that I had, because I was the tech person. I had a lot of friends who were bloggers at the time, and I just used to help them on their websites, and I was able to then turn that into a business. So this was actually the first idea I ever had where it was actually my own need, but because I had that background in tech, I knew that it would be possible to create.
Yeah. And I'm curious, okay, so like a lot of people in this quarantine have felt that they obviously need to create, but you created something that came up so naturally, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel maybe it, for the viewers, chime in if you felt the same way, but maybe this quarantine has made them feel a little bit paralyzed and maybe felt with like writer's block or ideas block. And a lot of people like myself, I thrive off of building ideas with other people and having those in-person connections. And obviously we can't really do that right now, have to keep our distance. So how did you, I mean, obviously you talked to Risa from DBA and made sure that this was like a partnership that just made sense and it was perfect. But when it comes to those times where you're feeling kind of like writer's block, or you feel that you're not coming up with ideas and you still need to find that inspiration, how do you beat through that?
Sure. So when I'm feeling like not creative, I don't get down on myself. Like, I know that I have creative periods and I'm in that period right now. So whilst I'm in that period, I'm just brainstorming, just writing every little idea that comes up in my mind. Probably 1% is actually viable of those ideas, but I'm just know because that I'm in that space. And I know that because I've had experiences like what you said, where I haven't felt that way. I felt like, oh, I can't be bothered to do anything. What even is this life? Just so uninspired and so just over it. And just even though that I'm so excited about what I'm talking about today, it doesn't mean that I don't have those periods as well. We all have those periods in the month where you feel more motivated and excited versus times where you just feel like you really can't be bothered. Like, I have that as well. But I'm mindful of the fact that I do have those different phases. So I'm careful to think, okay, I'm coming into one phase and coming out of another. And what should I be doing in that specific phase? So the phase you're talking about, when I'm not feeling inspired, I then seek inspiration. So I try to speak to as many people as I can on the phone, try to watch as many webinars, watch as many creative lives, email people that I haven't emailed in a while to see if they want to catch up, and just kind of almost like an electric pulse to attach yourself to what other people are doing and try to give you that jolt of life so that you then get inspired based on what they're doing. So I am very aware of when I do feel like that, and then I have a process to kind of get me out of it.
Yeah, no, and I think that, I mean, being conscious of it, being mindful of it, and knowing that it's just temporary when you're feeling stuck in those moments is so key. And also, sorry, I forgot to mention this to anybody watching. If you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them in the Q&A, because we'll be answering your questions in a few minutes. But yeah, understanding that everything is temporary. Obviously, this whole situation is temporary. Everything is temporary. So just giving yourself grace and knowing that, okay, you know what? This is a moment that I'm dealing with right now. I'm not feeling inspired. Okay, what can I do to fix it and move on? Yeah.
100. And I think in what you said about the temporary part, I think is really important, because it's so easy to make yourself feel worse that you're not feeling the way you wish you was feeling. And especially when you go on Instagram, which sometimes is the devil, because you then go on there and then you see everybody's best moments, like this person's on this, and you're like, oh, for goodness sake, like, but you're not realizing that they had a moment like you as well. They just didn't show it on social media. So when I'm feeling that way as well, oftentimes I like delete Instagram. I might delete Instagram for like a week and just not interested. Like if something's important, someone can email me, they've got my email address, and I'll delete it because I'm just not in that space. And then when I feel like I am in that space again, then I would reactivate it again. So I think the key point here is about the fact that it's temporary and not to put yourself down.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, and the great thing with, you know, your live guide is that you can choose to see what you want. You're not like you're gonna, you know, follow somebody or kind of like hate follow people just to see what they're up to. You
Mm.
choose actively what you want to see. And obviously there's been a lot of great content that's come out of it, since you've seen a lot of the lives. So I'm curious, what is like one of the best lives that you've seen since you launched? I mean, there's so many things on your live guide. There's everything from, you know, musicians to fitness experts to nutritionists to nonprofits. So can you share with us what are some of the best lives you've seen? Maybe some of the most kind of like breakthrough lives that like really kind of just stand out for you?
Sure. So to be fair, like the types of lives that I've seen that have made me be the most excited and the most humbling are not necessarily the ones that are the super, super big names. Like you need the super big names in order to get the press and then to get more and more people onto the site. But, you know, I'm just a regular girl. So I like seeing small businesses go on there and put their lives on there for the things that they're doing for their business, whether it be like a business about Christianity or a business about finance or a business somebody, a PT who obviously hasn't been able to make any money right now and now they're going live. Like I love seeing the everyday person really take this opportunity to produce amazing and inspiring content, and the fact that they are then putting those submissions onto the site, I absolutely love it. So in terms of like the most popular categories, it does make sense, but wellness is the most popular category because obviously everybody's looking to make themselves feel good and to get out of any slump that they might be feeling, and followed by anything to do with entrepreneurialism. That's like the second most biggest category, because this is the time where people might be furloughed and thinking, oh, I might start a business, or they might have already started a business and they've been slow at it, but now they can take it to the next level. So it's nice to see that people aren't just kind of, not everybody's just sitting on their couch and just waiting for this to be over, but trying to actually educate and stimulate their mind in order to get them through to the next stage.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I love out of this. It's like we can't really feel that paralyzed because there's so much wealth out there in digital, in the internet, you know, in social. And there's many ways to get creative. And obviously you've done that with your life guide. But I think, I mean, so many brands are really trying to think outside of the box and bring more awareness to their brand than probably they didn't think of before. And I think, you know, the best ideas come out of like a rough patch. It's kind of like, you know, diamonds are only created with friction. So that's the same kind of theory with this. So
yeah, that's so powerful what you just said there, Keith. I
we're
completely
all
agree.
creating diamonds.
Yeah. And I feel like it's not even about thinking outside the box. You have to think of it as if the box doesn't exist. And it's so hard to think like that because you're conditioned, especially when you run an existing business or you do something specific, you're conditioned to think in a certain way. And one thing I've been really trying to teach myself is that the box doesn't exist. Like the Chloe who was yesterday doesn't need to be the same Chloe who is today. I could just be like, I'm not on this thing anymore. I'm on something else. And that's fine. People just need to accept it.
Right.
So if you can kind of foster that type of mindset, your brain gets into a whole new creative space.
Yeah.
For example, with your live guide, I had never built a product that was for the consumer before. Everything that we've done is for influencers, B2B, behind the scenes, helping kind of orchestrate what they're doing. So it was completely left field for me to think about an idea that would actually be for a wider community. And if I wasn't thinking that the box doesn't exist, I probably wouldn't have thought of the idea in the first place.
Right. No, that's perfect. I think like, you know, given that this idea was born out of quarantine and isolation, what do you like, do you see live programming like what we're doing right now continuing to be like a crucial part of the marketing mix when this is all over?
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's not going to be a thing. I mean, a lot of, I know in the US and also in the UK, they're working on plans to kind of take us out of quarantine. It's like curbside pickup and all these types of things, but it's not going to be the way it was if anything, for a long time. Like, I think some people don't realize that, but it won't be, it can't be. You know, a lot of those big events that had postponed to the end of the year, like, they ain't happening, because it's just not possible until there's a vaccine. It's not possible for us to go back to where we were before, because this could happen again. So because of that reason, and also the fact that a lot of people that weren't actual digital natives and super digital savvy, they didn't realize the power of going live and webinars and Zoom and all these things. Like, we knew it. We both, me and you, are already in tech. We already knew about these things. These are things that we did before. But for the majority of the world, didn't know about being able to communicate, didn't know that they could run their businesses remotely. They didn't know about any of these things. So now they've experienced it, I think it's going to it can completely change how things will be in the future, because it doesn't make sense to be like, okay, that was a fun little trial for a couple of months. Let's just go back to exactly how it was before. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like, I keep thinking that after all this is over, the world will never be this, I think some people are calling it the before times. Like, they're actually capitalizing it as before times. Like, now we're not living in like AD, we're living in BT.
That makes sense.
So, but no, it's true. Like, I don't think that what we knew back then, before times, will probably not be the same as it was before. You know, I think definitely we're going to appreciate things that we probably took for granted before. We're going to be innovating in new ways. We're going to be interacting in new ways until there's a vaccine. And maybe until there's a vaccine, maybe just, like, we'll go back to the before times. But I think these new strategies, these new things that we're doing right now are almost here to stay. Because as long as people have, I think it's not that to call it trauma, but like, we are so conditioned with like COVID that we're going to be like, okay, that's the only thing that comes to in our heads when we're going to step outside of the door, or we're going to go to a networking event, or we're going to go to a conference. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. Cool. Okay, we have one more question, and then I see there's questions coming in. I see Demi, I see your question. And funny enough, I know somebody had emailed me questions earlier that they really admire Chloe. So we're going to go and ask those questions too. But it seems safe to say that your love for technology has a profound effect on your career and ultimately led you to where you are today with Chloe Digital. So what motivated you to learn how to code when you were just a teenager?
Sure. So what motivated me to code? So I was always interested in tech. So we didn't say digital then. I don't think so. We just said like tech. So I loved computers, laptops. Like, when I was at school, I thought I could save my pocket money to buy my own laptop, but my pocket money was £10 a week. So I wasn't able to save the money to buy my own laptop. So I always had to use the family computer and ask my mum to go on the internet. And I was just so drawn to it. I was drawn to electronics. My dad's really into electronics and mechanics, so maybe it's hereditary, but I was just so super into it. Loved being on the computer. Come home from school, I want to go on the computer. I used to pretend that I had homework to do on the computer, but back then we didn't have homework to do on the computer. But I'd go on it and talk to my friends. Yeah, they didn't know. They had no idea. And talk to my friends on MSN Messenger and whatnot. And when it got to about when I was about 15, 16 is when MySpace came out. And to make your profile look cute, you had to kind of do a little bit of HTML and CSS, very, very small. But I just loved the idea of it. I loved the idea that I could write something and then it turned into something creative, because I always saw coding as being creative, even though back then people didn't see it as that. And I love the fact that I just enjoyed it so much. I never thought it would be anything to do with my career, because I didn't know anybody who coded. I didn't know that. I knew websites existed, but I didn't know that somebody's job was to actually code the website to make it real. I just thought it just existed. So yeah, because I didn't have that knowledge, it was just something that was just my passion, and that I just did on the side whilst I did the normal things like go to school, get ready to go to university or college, as you say in America, And even then I was going to go ahead and do a course in TV production because I just didn't know anything to do with coding. But the passion that I had just kind of stayed alive. I just kept being drawn to it. And because I used to speak openly about my passion, people who were starting to make their own websites as I got older always would ask if I could help them. And I just say yes, because I just loved it so much. And I know like everybody has different passions, but coding just happened to be mine.
Hey. No, I remember when I used to, and sorry, there leaf blowing outside my apartment. But I remember when I used to code my own MySpace pages too. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm an expert. Like I can do it all. And I'm like, I wish I remembered all of that. I wish it would have stuck and I could actually call myself a coder. But that was just me trying to like make my top 8 disappear and then not start drama with my friends in high school. Oh man. But that's really great to hear. No, and I mean, I think I definitely, and this is why I admire you so much, because I feel like there should definitely be more women in tech, more women, female coders. There's not enough in the space, and you're really kind of a pioneer for women who've probably felt like maybe I can't do this. And I'm like, no, like we can do this. There needs to be more women who can just, take coding and call it their own and really be pioneers in the space. So.
For sure. I'm such an advocate for people learning to code, not just for them to become developers in their own right, but it helps with your technical understanding to create. And now more than ever, a lot of things that people are creating now is online, especially this is such a prime example of how online businesses are where it's at. Like in a time like this, if you have an online business, it's less likely affected from something like a pandemic where people can't even go outside. So I really feel really passionate about the fact that you should have that type of technical understanding. You should take a course. There's loads of free courses online, just so you have that understanding, because it allows you to think more creatively. And I think, for example, in the instance of your live guide, I was able to put that together very, very fast with my team because I have that technical understanding. If it was just an idea, I mean, I don't think I would be the only person to come up with the idea. I don't think I was the only person to Google TV guide for lives. But for the other people, they may not have had that technical understanding to think, okay, how could I turn this into something? They could have been entrepreneurial, they could have been creative, but without the technical piece, they wouldn't have been able to do that. So I really, really kind of am thankful for that understanding that I do have, because it allows me to connect my creativity to make new products, which is super fun and exciting.
And I think like any time that you find yourself saying, I wish there was blank, that's an opportunity for you to create that and find the means. Like like say if I came up with the idea and I was like, I don't know how to do this, but you know what? I'm gonna reach out to Chloe. I'm gonna let her take care, probably join forces to do this. And it's the same way that you did with DBA. Like, it just made sense.
Yeah. It makes it, yeah, exactly. That collaboration is everything. Like we can't do anything by ourselves. I think it's important to have an understanding about everything, but at the same time be able to hone in on specialists where it's just not your thing. And I think that makes complete sense as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we have a few questions. So Demi asked, do I have to be an influencer with millions of followers, or can I offer a free yoga class live? I'm not an influencer, but I'm trying to promote my business.
Perfect. Of course you can,
Yeah.
Demi. Do it. I think the thing is, there's this like stigma that you have to have loads of followers on Instagram to do anything, and it's just all nonsense.
Yeah.
Like I know people with successful businesses who have 500 followers on Instagram and they'll make more money than the person with 50,000. It's just about making sure that you're being authentic. You have a specific unique selling point that you can then get across to an audience. So for you, obviously, it's about doing yoga. You obviously have a yoga business, and that is something that people want right now. Like yoga is the perfect mesh between the whole wellness aspect and the fitness aspect, and the mind, body, soul. So definitely 100% go for it. don't be afraid to reach out to people to connect with, to maybe do, for example, a co-hosted live. So maybe you might find somebody has a bit more followers than you, and you say to them, would you be interested? I see that you're interested in yoga. Would you be interested in me doing a free session with you, but we do it co-hosted on Instagram Live? So then that then brings in their following into the equation, and then any followers that are interested in what you've done, they will then end up following you. And this is the best time to do that, because a lot of larger influencers or mid-tier influencers are seeking experts that they can introduce to their audience in order to inspire them. So this is the perfect time to do that. And, you know, just send people a DM. The worst thing that can happen is they just don't reply and you continue life.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Yeah, I think, and I mean, that's kind of what we try to preach at Planoly. Like, you don't have to be a macro influencer. Micro influencers are also very successful in the spaces because they are catering to a specific niche. Like for me, I've been getting into pottery. I've been watching tons of pottery videos, and that's recently what's been aggregating on my explore page, no matter what type of following, because if it's a good video and it's gotten a lot of views, then the algorithm is going to be like, hey, you might want to watch this video. And from there, I end up looking at other creators, and it doesn't matter to me if you have 1 million followers. I care more about how you're doing things, how you're showing to do things. If you have the knowledge, if you really show that you're an expert, I could care less about your followers. I'm going to follow you because of your expertise. So don't feel dissuaded by follower count. Just really show up with your expertise and the followers will come through.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Oh, this is a good question. Caitlin asked, where are some free coding tutorial websites?
Sure. So one of my favorites is called Code Academy. So not Code Academy, it's like without the A, so Code Academy. And you can go on there and you can sign up for free and learn to code the base languages. Obviously, when you want to get to a step further with the learning, then they have like a paid plan, but you can learn to code for free on that platform. And the one piece of advice that I have, if you are interested in learning to code, is try to think about a project that you want to code alongside the learning, because it's very easy when you're learning to code to kind of get sidetracked. But if you're passionate about something that you, like a website or a platform or something that you want to code yourself, then you'll be able to apply those learnings. And when you can apply your learnings, then it sticks.
So, cool. Somebody actually just mentioned in regards to the other question, if you can't show up for 10 followers, how can you expect to show up for thousands or millions? Engaging with the followers you have matters so much more than the number of followers. And yeah, 100% agree. You just have to engage. And this is the thing with social. And this is what has made, you know, Chloe Digital so successful. It's what's made Planoly successful and lots of other companies. It's that two-way street communication, because that's what social is about. Keyword social. It's, you know, really interacting with people, because you can't really expect to just throw out content and then expect people to come back. You really have to like build that engagement, build that community, engage with your community, engage with your niche, and then you'll see the fruits of your labor. So
yeah,
cool. Anonymous asks, is Planoly and Chloe Digital partnering on anything soon?
Oh, that's a good question. We are partnering on something soon. If Brandy's in here, Brandy's the co-founder of Planoly. We are launching something next week. I don't know if we're allowed to say or not.
We can tease it.
Okay, so we're going to be launching a super cool template package for Stories Edit, which is launching next week, I believe.
Yeah. So you guys hear it here first. If you download our design tool, Stories Edit, it is a separate app. It's free. It's a new collection that we're coming out with Chloe for next week. I believe it might be coming out. We'll let you know. I can't remember the exact date, but it is coming out next week. It's a free template collection that Chloe has curated. So we're really, really excited about that. So yeah, that's what we're partnering. And if this quarantine didn't happen, we would have been doing a South by event together.
That's true.
Which didn't come to fruition. But hopefully next year, fingers crossed, if this is all over.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna, one more question from Paris, who emailed me this morning. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome as a young adult entering tech, being self-taught, a woman of color, and aspiring to do your own company? If so, how have you learned to manage the negative self-talk?
Sure. I think that's a good question. I definitely had imposter syndrome, and I've definitely had negative self-talk. I think I still have negative self-talk to this day. When you reach higher levels, you know, there's new devils there, and you often, like, the devil wants to talk you out of things that you have to be like, not today, Satan. Like, I'm not listening
Yeah.
to so for me, I really instilled in myself just the whole premise of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So I would kind of use the negative feelings that I had and try to do the opposite of what it was saying. So if it was telling me that I wasn't good enough, I would just do it to see if I was good enough. You
Yeah.
know, I'd like, if I was fearful about doing anything like a talk or anything, or emailing somebody or approaching somebody or anything, I would just do it to see that if I could, and then I would be like, oh, actually I could do it. So training your mind to think the opposite. In terms of, like, you know, being a woman of color in the tech industry, you know, I'm very aware that I'm a minority, and I'm very aware that it is part of my duty to help other women and younger women by being representative in the space, because I didn't necessarily have anybody else that I could really look up to think, wow, I want to be like her. So for me, that is a very, very big responsibility, which I take on because I think it's very, very important. So it's important for me that if I ever do feel imposter syndrome or anything like that, just remind myself about why I'm here and what my unique set of skills is and what my unique passion is, because I'm a very passionate person, and I think I have a very unique skill set. You know, I'm this female entity in a digital space, which is predominantly male, but then I'm into influencers, and it's like a very, very small, but very, very specific niche. And know that my learnings and understandings from being in this industry for 10 years is very unique and also valuable. So I have been lucky to work with very, very large companies, like billion-dollar companies, who have valued my expertise. And it's really showed me that we often are our own limitation to doing things and reaching out to certain people, because we think that, okay, well, I have to wait till I get to a certain point in order to do something. And you really don't. You just outreach. Like I said before, if someone doesn't reply to you about something, like, they're not at their house thinking, oh, can you believe that Chloe even thought of emailing me? How dare she? They don't care. They're not even thinking about you. They're thinking about
Yeah.
their own life.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. And also, as well, sometimes I think you need to remember that business is just a game. It's like you playing a board game. So you open the board game, you play it, then you put the board game away, and then you go live your actual real life.
Right.
So if you kind of see like that, you kind of have it as a step away, and then it kind of makes you excited to play the game because you want to win. It's like playing Monopoly with your family, like, you want to win. So that's how you should see business. You're like, oh, maybe if I email that person, then they can connect me with this person.
Right.
Oh, but they know me. Then when the negative thought comes in, it's like, no, I know I've got a specific piece of value. I'm going to try to provide that value to this person, and hopefully that we will then be able to work together, or what have you. But it takes time. You know, it's not something that happens overnight. I did struggle with it for a very long time. I think also comes with age as well. But it's just about kind of doing the opposite of the negative feeling that might come in. And then over time, you will create a habit of then not having that negative feeling anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, you just have to throw yourself at the sharks and just, you know, it's kind of like a sink or swim. Like, if you fail, that's fine. Like, I think I've read this book. I can't remember the name. I'll probably try to find the book. It's in my bookshelf. But it talked about just not being afraid to fail. Like, if you're just getting comfortable with the idea of failure, because a lot of the time, if we think about not failing, then we'll just hold ourselves completely back from that idea. And we'll have, like, for me, I've dealt with analysis paralysis. And then I'm just like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be great at this. I don't think I'm gonna do this so well. so you know what, maybe I'll wait till I get like a better class and then I'll learn this. Like, it's just making excuses. So it's just like, you know what, just do it. And if you'll learn as you go, like the failures, and this is like one thing that I really love about Planoly that Brandy and Andy have really like instilled in our team, is that it's truly a failure unless it's a failure, and if you don't grab any learning lessons from it. If
Mm.
you failed and you use that information as data, if you use that information to help you grow to the next level in your learnings, then it wasn't really a failure at all. It was just like a data set,
Yeah.
kind of looking at it in a scientific way. But if you're not allowing yourself to learn from your mistakes, then you're truly failing. So
100%. And I think anything that you deem to be a failure is just in your own head. And you just, like you said, you have to work, okay, what lesson can I take from that? Like when it starts to annoy you that you've done something wrong, then just quickly pivot to think, okay, what lesson do I learn from that? Soak in that lesson, forget everything else, and then move on to the next thing. And the lesson that you learn, you might not then reap that lesson for years to come. Like there's things that I learned starting the business that only now makes sense 5 years on. So when you build up those lessons, you're kind of building up those building blocks so that in the future you have this arsenal of all of these lessons that you can then take on to something bigger. And I always say, try to learn the lesson and fail in something that is inexpensive,
right.
versus when there's a lot more money on the table and that lesson is then harder to take.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know, Chloe, we can go on and on. I swear, like the last time I saw you was at Soho House in LA. We just spent hours there
I
just
know.
talking. I wish we could go back to that. But for everybody, please make sure to follow Chloe. Chloe, where can people find you and follow you?
Sure. So my personal IG is Chloe Adelia, and the business IG is Chloe Digital, and my email is chloewatts@chloedigital.com. If you want to email me, if you have questions, I know sometimes people are nervous to ask questions and then they send you an email or DM after. I'm available to help. I'm available to answer questions. No question is silly. You can just ask and I'll be there to help.
Yay. Thank you so much, Chloe, and for being a resource for all of our viewers. I hope everybody really enjoyed this talk. And again, if you have any questions for Chloe, just make sure to email her. And make sure to, if you have any questions for us, just make sure to DM us at Planoly. And again, this is currently being recorded, so we'll be sending it out tomorrow, and then we'll be uploading it very soon on YouTube. So we'll be sharing. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Chloe, and we'll keep chatting. Have a great Friday evening, because it's evening.
Thank you. And you a good afternoon.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.